right. I think we are live. What's up, everybody? Gonna be a little bit of a shorter stream tonight. Keep saying I'm gonna keep up with it, and I haven't. Been decently busy. Have been coding a lot, but have generally not been coding at my desk, and as such, haven't fully had the time to stream. But I'm trying to pick that up this week. Tonight, I should say, we're gonna do somewhat of a recap. I haven't streamed, I don't think, since the first update went live, and I know that I've covered some of the stuff that was in that update. I'm going to run through them again, try to show some of them off that I didn't go through previously. A big chunk of the app's design has completely changed since the last time I streamed, so we'll show that off as well. I'm letting it load on the iPhone simulator right now. I was running it on Android earlier, but for whatever reason, Android's simulator, which comes from Android, like it's a native simulator, takes an absurd amount of memory. And so everything on my computer before I was even streaming was running extremely slowly. It was taking like 5 gigabytes of memory just to keep the simulator open. The Apple simulator is like 100 megabytes. So I can generally run it quite a bit easier, which is what we're doing right now. So, glad I'm catching this now. There we go. For whatever reason, the capture had frozen, but we're back now. So this is what the main menu looks like now. Did this before, or did this after my last stream. For those of you that have been testing the app, a lot of the pages look different. Most of these backgrounds were just me kind of having fun and wanted the app to be a bit more colorful. Eventually, every page will kind of have a branded Throw At The Pros background. We'll see exactly what I want that to look like, but I think up until launch, this is going to be the look of Throw At The Pros. Some colors might change, some design elements might change. The resume tournament button I've already changed since the last update, so nobody has a button that looks like this currently, but we'll show it off here just so you guys can see it. Colors match up a little bit better with what the rest of the main menu look like, and the version that's out currently, it's still orange and green. Doesn't really go with everything else. This one's a little bit better. So my intent, this has been my just running list of updates that I've added into the app. Was going to run through these and hopefully make sure I cover everything. Editing user scores, I think I covered last time. That is quite easy. So you got your score in, let's say, oh, this was supposed to be a par, you just tap on it. Adjust whatever your score was, we'll change it to a par, and that updates accordingly. That works for all scores. In the very initial update, I think you could actually edit scores, that hadn't been entered. That has since been changed. So we addressed that issue. Next was this item in the tutorial. So initially in the tutorial, you were first required to add a course and then play through your first tournament. And in that first tournament, the only options available to select were the MA4 division and an XC tier tournament. In the settings, which I know I've covered previously, we have this toggle to enable the female protected divisions. So the baseline divisions in the app are MA4 through MPO, or you can toggle this on and they become FA4 through FPO. So you toggle that on, you can go to start a new event. Those are the divisions you have to select from. That's what your profile shows. Everything updates accordingly. But this option wouldn't become available until after you completed that first tournament. So what I did now, which for the sake of time, I won't demonstrate here, but essentially when you first download the app, so what all of you will go through on app launch, because on app launch, any progress you made in this goes away. You're downloading the app fresh. It's actually a completely different file than what you're testing currently. But on the very initial app launch, the very first screen that pops up that says "Welcome to Throw with the Pros," you'll have the option to enable female protected divisions, just so for those users who are intending to play in those divisions, you don't have to go through the tutorial in MA4. You can just immediately start in FA4. Didn't think about that until after I'd put it in the settings and put the tutorial in, just that the way the progression was set up, you didn't get to that until after the first tournament was done, but that's been fixed now, so you don't have to do that. The iOS launch image was really big for some users. I don't have a phone next to me or else I demonstrate, but essentially it just looks like what it's supposed to look like now. That's a pretty minor thing. Keyboard blocking content, I did fix that. I think I've been typing on my keyboard, so it's not going to pop up here. The keyboard won't pop up, but essentially there was issues where when you were typing on your phone, the keyboard pops up from the bottom, and it would cover content so that people couldn't actually get to the bottom button. It did work on this screen, but on the next screen, a lot of people were unable to ever see holes 17 and 18. That has since been fixed. So now when the keyboard pops up, if you're typing in a distance, the keyboard will pop up. It's a numbered keyboard, so there's no option to click done and have the keyboard hide. But now whenever you scroll on this view or any other views that have a keyboard, the keyboard will disappear. So all you have to do is type in your distance on 16, scroll away, keyboard disappears. Go on to 17, scroll down to 18. As you're scrolling down to 18, the keyboard will disappear. It'll always do that. So you'll always be able to scroll here and get to the review button. I don't think people really had issues with this. We did change the font, but I changed the font. I've got a few different fonts going in the app right now. It's not super consistent. Kind of trying some stuff out. There's also an issue with editing courses that people were unable to type decimals in for whole averages. These buttons look kind of cut off. I haven't figured out the perfect way to make this work yet. It is scrollable, as is this. So this is the same thing. If you're typing in here and you scroll, the keyboard will go away. And you can always scroll up above too. But for whole averages, people were noting that there was actually no decimal button on the keypad. So you could type in numbers, but you can only type in like 2 or 3 or 4. You couldn't put in a decimal point. I can do it obviously right now because I'm on my keyboard. But that's been fixed as well in the update that's currently live. So everyone should have in the bottom left a little decimal point on their keyboard so you can appropriately edit whole averages. Covered this, playoffs. So one thing that was not in the app previously was playoffs for first place. If the user finishes in a tie for second or third place, I'm not doing a playoff for that. Playoffs are for ties for the win. I kind of think that should be true in normal disc golf as well. But if you end in a tie for first, so this one I will demonstrate because this is easy too. Being able to edit scores makes it really easy to make sure that I actually go into a playoff. Oh, this one's 18. Never mind. I'm not doing 18. Easy. This one's only 6. Okay. I could have probably been done by now. I didn't want to go through 18 holes. All right, didn't even have to change the score, finished in a tie. So you'll come finish around here. If you end in a tie for first, you'll go to a playoff. Now we're only in a tie with Randy here. If we were in a tie with other players, which I was kind of hoping we would, they'll be in the playoff as well. But this will be a quick demonstration. So here on the playoff, it'll list everyone that's in the playoff. If there's more AI in the playoff, they will be listed here. And then basically you're going to go through, every playoff is going to start on hole 1. You're going to enter the score you got. So let's say we took a par and we lost. So happens. Probably shouldn't be able to edit this, but it won't change the score anyway. So we lost the playoff, so we finished in second. Click finish playoff. We're in second. Randy's in first. Shows is in a tie for second, so it'd be solo second. So I'll have to change the place, but ultimately that isn't overly important. What is important is that the payout is correct. So this is the payout for second place. That's where you're showing the leaderboard. So playoffs are in there. Let me make a note for these few things here, just as I'm going through them. Make sure that place updates accordingly after playoffs, i.e. shouldn't be solo second instead of tied for second. Yes. And then what was the other one? Shouldn't be able to adjust stroke counter after score is submitted in playoff. And I'm just going to make that hide. So there's a couple minor things to edit there, but playoffs are in. For all intents and purposes, they work. Tied for second versus second is not ideal. I'll change it before launch, but it is a minor issue. The payouts work properly, which is goal number one. Updated page designs. So obviously we have these. The shop has some updated backgrounds. That's annoying. It's like every time I do a stream, maybe that's why I don't stream as much, because I find things that I have no idea. I've never even encountered the issue before. And now all of a sudden things are extending their bounds and I don't know why that's the case. Sponsor button text sizes currently overflowing bounds once sponsors become available. I will probably at some point stream this week and just go through all of these small things that I'm actively making notes of as I'm going through it right now. What I was trying to cover was different page backgrounds. Support as page backgrounds. The profile has a slightly different background. This one is not necessarily themed, but we have stats with a new page background. Very colorful, not overly consistent, but exists. Covered those new page designs. We have the new fonts shown here. Some things still have the original font. Excuse me, like the stats page. And then the last big thing in the last update was the trophies. What is... Anyways, is this trophy room. And so the idea here is that you're going to earn trophies based on every single tournament that you win. As of right now, the way it's set up is that every tier has its own trophy. So XC tier tournaments have the silver trophy, C tiers have this trophy. Then I can go up to assets and show the rest of them. I haven't won those tournaments in the app yet, so they're not obviously available. Trophy room. So we've got the XC tier, which we showed is this, C tier here, B tier tournament, A tier tournament, and Q tier. It's going to be this ribbon. Q tiers are once again what you earn a tour card with. And then the other thing that I am excited about with this trophy room is that all of these pro divisions, which are only available in Tour Life, are going to have their own trophies. So the Tour Life season currently consists of, I think, 13 events. Every single one of those events is going to have a unique trophy. So the idea is that you can see your all your Pro Tour season trophies in a single spot. That'll be pretty cool, sorted by division as well. When you have the trophies available, it'll show you what the name of the tournament was, which the way this works is it's throwdown or local, or that whatever this text is based on the tier of the tournament, and then easy in this case was the name of the course. That's the name of the course that I just played that last tournament on. Does that the one I just finished and tied for second, actually? Let's make a note on that. Make sure trophies aren't being awarded unless user actually wins in the playoff. Okay. That may not have been an issue, but a good thing to double check. And then it'll show your 6 down, your score for the tournament, and what your payout was. And then the toggle below here is going to be on every trophy, and the idea is that, which is not coded in yet, but you'll be able to toggle them on, and then those trophies will actually pop up in the display case. The idea is that you'll be able to show 9, 3 per row. That's the hope. Kind of the exact same way that collector's discs currently work here. Only available with a pro subscription, which I don't have currently on this version. But if you go buy collector's discs, they will actually pop up visibly in this display case. So Trophy Room was the last big change before the update that went out. Update 9.14, this is the list of things that I've been updating that have not gone out yet. There was also an issue, to throw this out there for anyone who happens to be watching this and maybe hasn't experienced the fix yet. So the initial update I sent out that included all of this stuff that we just went over, if you clicked on edit course, you just got shown a gray screen. I did not realize that until I tested it on my phone, and my girlfriend Michaela told me about it as well on her phone. For whatever reason, it wasn't doing it at all in the simulator. It only did it once I published the release on physical devices. I could go do the exact same thing in the simulator and it worked just fine. Spent probably an hour digging through the code trying to figure out what it is, what it was, and I found a small error output that was hidden between a bunch of other outputs. A single line, for whatever reason, it wasn't popping up with the code. But anyways, long story short, that has been fixed. If anyone is encountering that issue, the update is live for both iOS and Android. The update went live for iOS, I think probably literally an hour after I discovered it. Apple's really quick to review, especially testing updates. So I submitted it to Apple. Within 30 minutes, the update was live. I had the fix on my phone. Michaela has an Android, and she just got the fix around lunchtime today, because Google, for whatever reason, it was literally one line of code that I deleted. So I hadn't actually even added any of this stuff yet. I literally pushed out the update with this. I had to change one line of code to remove the error for edit courses, and it wasn't even changing it. It was deleting a line of code. And just for deleting that one line of code, Google took, I think, 3 days to review that. So the fix took a little while to get out for Android. If anyone encountered that issue, I apologize. You should be able to edit courses now. With that being said, that is live. So what I'm looking at here includes these later updates, but otherwise has everything that I just went over in that first update. So to quickly recap what else is new that's not currently on anyone's devices. So we have a quick start guide. It is kind of poorly done. I'm intending to add to it a little bit, but on the support menu, we have this button that says quick start, and you click on this, and the point is that it's kind of just a quick summary to reference back to as to how Throw with the Pros is intended to work, how you're supposed to progress within the app, and how things are unlocked, and then what tour life is as well. Just because if you use it on an infrequent basis, there's a lot of buttons, there's a lot of places to go. I want people to have a source that they can go look at, just so it's clear that this is what's available in the shop and this is why you buy things in the shop, because that's what unlocks new tournaments, things like that. So added this little quick start guide. There was an issue which I just had never even stupidly not thought to test yet in the simulators, which was that if you rotate your phone, it will go into landscape mode, and it does not look right. So don't rotate your phone. You can always rotate it back. It works just fine. You just tilt it back up in portrait mode. You're not supposed to be able to rotate it into landscape mode and have the screen change, but that is what it's currently doing. So for anybody who is watching this live or very shortly after the fact, that is what it will look like. It will rotate sideways and look funky. but that will be fixed in the next update. You won't be able to rotate it. All of Throw with the Pros is intended to be viewed in this portrait mode. So address that. Update the design of the resume tournament button. I showed that at the start of the stream. Just made it more aligned with the design of the rest of the buttons on the screen currently. There was a bug where Q tier tournaments, if you played a Q tier, your round ratings would be 0. Fix that. Round ratings are now recording properly for Q tiers. And then there was also an issue, and I apologize, I had someone submit feedback for this, and I just noticed it today. I noticed it first as I was testing it myself, and then for whatever reason, the feedback on iOS I didn't see until today, didn't come through till today. Because someone else also encountered this issue, but there was a thing where if you played a Q tier tournament, after you had finished all the rounds of the Q tier and tried to finish the tournament, the app would crash. Specifically only with Q tiers. All of the tournaments were working fine. That was related to earning a tour card. I fixed that. It was a simple syntax error on my part that was a little careless. So apologies to the person that dealt with that and anyone else who had to. Thank you to the person that submitted the feedback for it, because that confirmed that I also wasn't just crazy and the app was crashing. But that has been fixed. Will come out in the next update. Options in the shop. So on the in-app purchase page, we had the button to start the subscription, but we also have these buttons down here to restore purchases, manage your subscription, or redeem offers. Those work for both iOS and Android. I tested those both earlier today, coded them in today. I won't open these buttons. They open external links just for the sake of time. Won't go through that. Redeem offer I'll show because that just pops up a screen in the app once it loads. But the idea is that all beta testers are going to get a code for, I forget what I said, 1 free month, 2 free months, X number of free months of the Pro subscription. And the way that's going to be done is I'm going to share offer codes with all the beta testers. And this is how you'll redeem it. So you'll come into the shop, click redeem offer, type in your code here, click redeem, and your subscription will update. Yeah. I am also, for those of you beta testing in the email this week, I'll be sending out the feedback form. And I know I covered this in a previous email, but just as a reminder, anyone who submits that feedback form will get extra free months of the Pro subscription, and the first 20 people to do so will receive a $5 gift card to Disc Store. Yeah, so that'll be cool. Hopefully we get some feedback from that. But yeah, so added these options in. Restore purchases. Basically, you just click on it. It just goes through. It's going to ask me to sign in because I'm not signed in on the simulator with my Apple ID. But it's basically just going to go through the process of restoring your purchases. Make sure if you did actually purchase a subscription, for whatever reason it's not showing up, that's the button you want to click. It'll verify that. And if you did purchase it, it'll update accordingly. And then manage subscription. I won't click on that because that does take you an external link, but it basically just takes you to either your... I said I wasn't going to click on it. It's not going to open because I'm also not downloaded or also not logged into my account. But it will take you to either the Apple or Google Play subscription manager page so that you can view your active subscriptions, and if you want to cancel it there, you can. There's not, from what I could see, there's not a great way for me to let people cancel their subscriptions if they want to in the app. It seems like the easiest way is just to include this button here, and it'll take you to the Apple and Google Play pages directly, which there it should be as easy as just tapping on Throw with the Pros and clicking cancel. So it is still easy for people who want to cancel their subscription. It seems easier to make it so that you do that directly on their pages, and I don't set it up in the app. I want to make sure that there's no issues with people thinking they canceled it and me mishandling something on the app side and then not going through. By doing it directly with Apple and Google, it ensures that if you cancel it, it's truly canceled. So yeah, these buttons are added. And then the last thing was the new buttons in the support menu, which I already kind of showed earlier. These 3 buttons were already in previously. These 2 will take you to an email. This takes you to my website. And then we also have the privacy policy in terms of use for Throw with the Pros. Privacy policy is the same. Terms of use are just going to be Google and Apple's standard terms of use. It'll link to whichever one of the device you're using. Privacy policy, I include that in there just because I know that in the past when I've uploaded apps with Apple, even if I'm not collecting any information for whatever reason, they will still reject my release if I don't link to a privacy policy, which maybe that was an issue with setup on my end. I'm not 100% sure. Just to be clear, it's on here. You can go look at the privacy policy. I do have a policy, but essentially what that policy says is that Throw with the Pros doesn't collect any data. And it doesn't. I have no third-party source that's gathering information from the app. The only way that I gather anything from the app is by you guys directly giving me feedback, which is why I have this note to developer in here. This will literally just pull up an email with my developing email. It's dldeveloping@gmail.com. So you can reach out to me directly just by tapping that. It'll pop up whatever your mail client is. But yeah, so we added these buttons in. And that is pretty much where we are at. The one thing I was going to briefly start today is going to be match play. So in Tour Life, there is a match play event that currently does not function. It's basically just a stroke play event that only kind of works. But there's going to be an event that's invite only. It's only going to be the top 16 players. And it's going to be match play. So it's going to be a bracket with those 16 people, you versus one AI. For those unfamiliar with how match play works, it's essentially just you versus them. It's not stroke play. You're not really counting strokes other than the fact that you're trying to beat the person you're playing against on that hole. So if you take a par, let's talk about it in terms of strokes. So if you take a 3 on a hole, your opponent takes a 4, you won that hole. So the score is basically 1-0. You're up 1. If on the next hole they take a 2 and you take a 7, the 5-stroke differential doesn't matter. It's just that they beat you on that hole, and now it's tied, so it's 0-0. And so basically the way it works is that you're just either winning a hole, tying a hole, losing a hole. Winning a hole, regardless of how many you win that hole by, is just worth a point. And yeah, you basically just play until someone wins. And the way you win is either by having more points than the person after 18 holes, or let's say you're up 5 holes, or up 5 points with only 4 holes to play, then you won. Because even if the other person wins the next 4 holes, they would still lose. So at that point, if you go up 5 and there's only 4 holes left, it's just over. You won. You move on in the bracket. It's going to be invite only, so the standings page on Tour Life will show the top 16. Those are going to be the only people that make it to the match play event. So if the user isn't ranked high enough, they'll just skip over that event and move on in the season. There's also going to be a collector's disc, and they are only available with the subscription, as it states here. But collector's disc will unlock match play as a regular tournament too, which means you would be able to come in here and next to Q tier have match play as an option. That's the idea. So thinking about how I actually want to do this, I think I want match play to be its own file. I think that makes sense. Should it be in Tour Life file? Should it be in the base tournaments file? This is, I have a rough idea of how this will work, but I haven't really thought through how I'm going to code it. This is going to kind of be just me getting the structure set up, and then hopefully I'll be actually implementing it in another stream this week. But this is kind of going to be me fumbling my way through it for the next maybe 15 minutes. Variable management, I don't think I want it in there. I think we'll probably just go base tournaments. New file on match play. And so this isn't actually going, well, it really should be a view, shouldn't it? It's going to be tricky. Okay, so let's think through this. Match play and tour life or otherwise doesn't require any other setup. We need a bracket. So we do need to show a bracket. We need to show a different kind of leaderboard. We need to show a different round finished. And then tournament finish can be the same. I do believe. Tournament finish might need to be different actually too, because we're not showing any stroke totals. So actually, this is just going to be its own folder. And let's start with the view. Shouldn't be too bad. It's really going to be the scoring. We can at least set up some files. So under match play, we'll have bracket. We will have, we don't need any additional setup. MP leaderboard. MP round finished. And MP tournament finished. That should be good. Now let's copy some basic views in here. Trying to find a simple one that makes sense. Does playoff make sense? Playoff does make sense. Okay. I don't need half of those imports, but that's okay. We can roll with them right now. So we're going to copy this. Let's go to bracket. Copy that in. Let's go bracket. Extend consumer stateful widget. Bracket. State. Bracket state. So those are good. I'll just leave those in. That way I don't have to add them in the future if I don't need them. Let's take out all this. We don't need that currently. Bracket. And then we need to just delete a whole bunch of this view stuff. I really just didn't want all the blue lines, which is why I threw that P in there at the end. Yeah, that's largely fine. I think that's probably good enough. Now we can just take this and copy it in. Exit that out. Leaderboard. This can be match play leaderboard. Copy it in here. State. Do that. And I just label the titles here so I can make sure the navigation's working, and then I'll actually go in and update these views. But that should be good to go. quick copy. Then we go, make sure I'm doing these right, round finished. Just play round finished. Copy this in here. Finished. In round finish, we'll need to show how you placed and then also redisplay the bracket, updated bracket with the results. So we'll make that happen. Tournament finished. Okay. Do this one more time, copy this all through. Finished, go here, and tournament. Cool. It's being a little slow for whatever reason, but once this turns yellow, we'll know we're good. We can go add this in here. Add some constants as well. Const bracket is equal to bracket match play leaderboard name is equal to match play leaderboard finished name. And I put all these in. I think I've done this in previous streams as well, but these are just assigning names to each page so that I can actually navigate to them from the same navigation stack. Play tournament finished name. Match play tournament finished. Those are good, and then we come down here. Name, context. Bracket. Match play leaderboard name. Match play finished name. Match play tournament finished name. Play leaderboard. Match play finished. Tournament finished. Then we need to just come through here, do a couple new imports, match play bracket, MP leaderboard, MP round finished. Make sure I got those names right. I think I did. This one I never actually even called Dart. There we go. Better? Yeah. Okay. Those are good. These ones are good. Lovely. So now we can actually use those in the app. We really shouldn't need much else. I'm probably going to need to save variables. Match play tournament variable. just because the way that I save those tournaments is going to be different than regular tournaments. I will copy my just a generic class in here just so I have it. Is there anything I need to set up differently? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. All right, we'll just copy this in. Save room for the imports. Match play tournament. I wonder how it knew to suggest it. Match play tournament variables. And then we need to extend or import this, excuse me. Beautiful. For all match play variables. Okay. I think I'm going to call it there. We've at least got the structures in. Coming up this week. Oh, what we have. We'll finish match play. We're going to be implementing some more page backgrounds. Courses. We're going to update backgrounds. I'm going to start doing a lot of the designs for Tour Life. Currently, those are still white screens. A lot of making sure that Tour Life is actually functioning as it's supposed to. What else? I'm looking at my to-do list here. Gonna finish the trophy room. I might code that live, just so the trophies actually pop up in the display case. I think those are probably going to be the big ones. I'm going to try to finish those this week. We are only 2 weeks away from the intended launch date of Throw with the Pros. I'm pretty confident that I'm at least going to hit that for Apple. Google, for whatever reason, in the last 6 months has drastically increased their requirements for publishing apps to Google Play. I kind of went into... This is the first time I've ever developed for Android. I kind of went into it assuming that Apple was going to be the stricter of the two. And I had dealt with Apple previously. And it seems like further back than 6 months ago, that was absolutely true. That Google was generally easier and friendlier to non-commercial enterprise developers. But for whatever reason, 6 months ago, they decided to change that, which... with all of the anti-monopoly stuff going on, seems counterintuitive. I don't know what the business decision was there. Long story short, for whatever reason, it's now quite hard to publish on Google Play. So I ended up posting a new testing track. Those of you that were on Android, if the app's not working for you, it's because you're not on the right track. Go to the email I sent out. You should also be able to search for Throw with the Pros on Google Play if you were invited. That should work. There's a chance it doesn't. The email links will certainly work, and I'll be sending out updated links again this week as well. But I need at least 20 people to be on that testing track, specifically on Android, and those people have to test it for 2 weeks. Today is the 16th. I don't think I have 20 people yet, which means that, at least as of right now, Google, or Throw with the Pros, I should say, will not be coming out on Android on October 1st. I'll call it poor planning on my part. I had no idea that Google had those requirements. Apple doesn't have anything close to that. Throw with the Pros, I am fairly confident we'll be ready for launch by October 1st, but if I don't have enough people testing it on Android, then it just won't come out. So for anybody that watches this, I'm mentioning it in the emails as well, but I need Android testers, and quickly. And I need them to opt in and to at least use the app a little bit. It's not enough to just download the app. Google requires that they use it on a somewhat frequent basis. It's actually pretty silly. But yeah, so Throw the Pros at a minimum should be coming out on iOS on October 1st. It will come out on Google Play as soon as we fulfill the testing requirement. I don't think I have anything else. That'll wrap it up for this stream. Thanks to anybody who watches this after the fact. We'll see you in the next one.